About 83% of you guys are not subscribed. Subscribing, clicking that like button, and commenting all help me out a lot in doing what I really want to do. Thank you guys so much for all your support. What is going on, guys? Rogue TCG here bringing another Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG deck profile. This is Magical Musketeer. We're bringing it back, baby. Musket is so back. We're so back. Let's go. This deck is a lot of fun. It is not quite as explosive as other decks that are currently in the format. However, it does have access to play a lot of anti-meta cards in it in the main deck, as well as having a good matchup against Snake Eye Rescue Ace, as well as having pretty beneficial interactions with the back row of Snake Eye Fire King. So here we are. Magical Musket. I don't think it's necessarily the best deck. I don't think it's necessarily even like tier 2 status or whatever. However, it's a lot of fun and it can put up a fight. So here we are. Let us go over the main deck. Ooh. For our muskets, we are on triple Magical Musketeer Starfire. If you activate a spell or trap in the same column as it, you can special summon a magical musket monster from your deck, except for itself in defense position. Yeah. All the muskets will have column effects, or if a spell or trap is activated in the same column as them, they get to do something, so I'm going to refer to them as that from now on, just to make things simpler. Next, we are on a triple Magical Musketeer Caspar. Its column effect lets you add a Magical Musketeer card other than the card activated in its column. It doesn't need to have a musket card activated in the column. It just needs to have a card. But if it is a musket card that's activated, you have to add a different one. That's how that means. Next, we are on Double Dock. Dock's column effect says you can add a musket card except for the card activated from your grave to your hand. So this is really good for recursion. So we are playing 2 of it. Next, we are on Double Kid Brave. Column effect lets you pitch a musket card to draw 2, so it can help us dig for non-engine. And then lastly, we are on 1 Calamity, which is column effect allows you to reborn a different musket from grave. So we are only playing 1 of that, but these are all of our main deck musket monsters. Now let's go to our spells and traps, the main deal of muskets. We are on triple Magical Musketeer Cross Domination. We're allowed to activate our musket cards from our hand as long as we have a musket that allows us to be doing that. So Cross Domination is functionally infinite impermanence, except you can activate in damage step because it makes their attack and defense 0. So it lets all your weenie muskets run over basically anything, and this is probably one of the better ones that you want to be having at all points of the game. It lets you break boards when you're going second, and it lets you establish boards when you're going first. That's a lot of fun with musket, is because your opponent never knows how much interaction you really have because you're always holding it in hand. So we also don't lose to typical back row removal cards like Duster, Cosmic Twin, those sort of things. Next, we're on triple Despacito. This is the musket card, which allows us to pop a face-up card. Very nice, pretty generic, and it lets us pop the face-up back row for Snake Eye, which is quite nice. We are on a triple Magical Musketeer Last Stand. This is a counter trap, which means your opponent can't even respond to it typically, especially since you're activating it out of your hand. And it just negates a spell or trap card effect. Pretty simple, but very powerful execution, being a counter trap once more. Then we are on 1 Magical Musketeer Crooked Crown. This allows us to special summon a musket from our hand, and it can lock down a zone the turn that we do summon a musket. The zone locking effect isn't typically relevant, however, it can come up against certain decks where they need a certain zone in order to, put stuff at link point and stuff. However, this is mostly here just as an extra extender. And then lastly, one of the main reasons to be playing Musket in this format is triple Magical Musketeer Dancing Needles. This is DD Crow on crack. If you control a Magical Musket monster, target up 3 cards in the graveyard, banish them. You can only activate it once per turn. However, this is just a free card you can activate at any point to remove graveyard resources. It triggers your muskets, and it just mass removes graveyards. Everyone's playing Soul Release, so why not play Baby Soul Release that's super searchable? That's it for our musket cards. Now on to our generic cards. We are on triple Link into the Brains because it works so well with muskets in their Link 1. We are on a triple Pot of Prosperity, since a lot of our extra deck we don't really need, since we're not really a Link reliant deck, or like an extra deck reliant deck, except for our Link 1. Then we are on double Dino Wrestler Pankratops, and a Called by the Grave. And then the rest of our deck is all hand traps, so... For the rest of our deck, we are on double Fantastical Dragon Phantasme. I'm going to keep pushing this until it gets through to y'all, but I think this card is really, really good right now. If you look at all the Snake Eye Fire King decks, or all the Snake Eye decks, if you look at their extra deck, they all have one thing in common. They're all running like 13 cards, all Link monsters. And SP Eliminate is like really powerful because it can target and banish stuff. So in a deck where we really need to be seeing muskets, this card allows us to see muskets more frequently, puts up a big body, and gives us targeting protection. So this card is just really, really good. Next, of course, I think y'all saw it already. D-Shifter. We don't really need our graveyard too much. We have 3 cards exactly in the Musket main deck that need to be reliant on graveyard, 2 Dock and the Calamity. However, it's not the end of the world if we banish our Musket cards, since we are playing a lot of them in the main and we're always being able to search them. So D-Shifter hurts our opponents way more than it hurts us. So it's there just to break the equilibrium. And then lastly, triple Infinite Impermanence, just because it works really well with our muskets. That's it for the main. I believe it's 41 in the main. Now on to our extra deck. In our extra deck, we are on the best card in the deck, Triple Magical Musketeer Max. This is the only reason you'd be playing the deck, and the reason we're playing Link Into the Brain, so they can't respond to it. If this card's Link summoned, you can activate one of these effects, add a Magical Musket spell trap with different names from your deck, up to the number of monsters your opponent controls, or special summon Magical Musket monsters with different names from your deck, up to the number of spells and traps your opponent controls. And it lets you activate the muskets from your hand. However, if your opponent has, I don't know, let's say they have Flamberge as IP Masquerena in the field spell, and you make your max, you special summon 3 from your deck, and then you go off to the races. Like, seems really crazy. So a lot of the links in this deck are just like boss monsters, since we can kind of just shit out 3 materials real easy, plus the max. Speaking of max, since it's a Link 1, we can really easily go into an SP Little Knight. All our monsters are fiends, so we're playing a Muckraker from the Underworld, even though it doesn't really work too well under D-Shifter. Then, of course, for our links, we are on 1 Access Code. We are on 1 Boral Sword Dragon in order to try and kill our opponents into the sun. And then for problematic monsters, we are on Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. But that is it for our Link monsters. Now, onto the Spice. So our deck doesn't really use the extra deck too frequently. However, we can kind of turn it into a toolbox of sort with like rank 4s and Link 2s and such, even Link 3s. However, I decided to go a different route because I feel like this is probably what's going to be the best in terms of actually getting that match win percentage up. It's going to be a Super Poly board running Muddragon, Garura, Earth Golem Adagnister, Dragostapelia, Starving Venom. We're literally playing all Murduke in order to just completely own Snake Eye. And then Draco a Quest, just because I thought it would be really funny if we actually could make Draco a Quest. But that's the rest of the extra deck. It's just a Super Poly board. What is nice is because since we are running a Super Poly board, Game 1, we're never going to be banishing anything worthwhile for the most part, and we're just going to be banishing, like, it's going to be everything but Garura, like that. Because we can still use Garura if they have, like, Dogmatica cards and we have to send it to the grave for some reason. So, that's just a corner case, but Game 1, we're always going to be just prosperating Spanish All Diffusion since we don't have Super Poly in the main. Next, for our side deck. Let's go for our board breakers and spell and trap removal first. We are literally on double Raigeki since it triggers our muskets, and that's just a board wipe, which is really funny. For our spell and trap removal, we are on a Cosmic and a Duster. For more removal, we are on 1 Change of Heart, since it's just a spell card, as well as 1 Dark Ruler. And then lastly, you saw the extra deck. We are on a triple Twin Twister, and that's it for our just basically removal, going second, just blowout cards. When we're going first, we do have triple Tactics Talents in order to put it in, as well as in specific matchups, we do have Skullmeister in here, specifically for like Labyrinth and stuff. But we do have the Skullmeisters in here in order to change up our main deck in case it doesn't really work against a specific deck. But that's it. That's main, extra, and side. Thank you guys so much for watching, if you still are, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye! Thank y'all so much for watching the video, it really means a lot. If you want to talk to other Yu-Gi-Oh players in a competitive manner, please feel free to check out my Discord. We are still growing, but we would love to have you, and we plan to do some events sometime soon. You'll also be able to do cool stuff like vote on future videos and topics of videos, so swing by sometime and check us out. I also started a Patreon, so that'll be linked in the description of my videos from now on. Donating would mean a lot, and would help in producing these videos. Right now, there's only one tier, being Tier 1 Femboy. This tier includes access to an exclusive Discord channel where you'll be able to talk amongst other femboys and have access to discussions with me as well as getting a shout out in every video following your patronage. Thank you so much for all your support.